The Los Angeles Chargers. Now, this is a really interesting team to use in Madden 24 because you actually start with a really solid team, but there are a few players here that I don't see being on the team in the next couple seasons. This, however, is not one of the players that I see leaving in the next few years, unless they really just can't come to terms on a contract extension. Scratch that, ignore me. I completely forgot that Justin Herbert has already signed a brand new contract. But some of the skill positions around him are probably going to end up changing relatively soon. Eckler demanded a trade this last offseason, but ultimately decided to come back because I feel like no one wanted to pay him exactly what he wanted. Keenan Allen is 31 years old, and then Mike Williams is in the last year of his contract, so we'll have to decide if we want to bring him back or if we want to roll with Quentin Johnston, who they just took in the first round out of TCU. The only big change I made here on the offense is I moved Quentin Johnston up to be the wide receiver 3. He will also be the slot receiver just so he can get some playing time. And I also signed left guard Dalton Risner because I was not okay with starting McFadden as a 65 overall. And it looks like we have an injury at right tackle because I know I did not have a 55 overall there. Let me generate the best lineup here, see if that actually replaces with somebody. I guess we'll use him. I'm going to go looking for agency. I've got to see if someone actually got hurt or cut. It looks like Salyer, one of our left tackles, actually has a foot fracture and will miss the first 2 weeks of the season, so they really didn't have a right tackle on the roster, so I guess I will go sign one. But we also are going to be missing JC Jackson for the first 5 weeks of the season. That's cool. I'm assuming both of those injuries happened in the preseason whenever I simulated it, but for now, let's go ahead and bring in right tackle Kelvin Beachum and just try to not have Justin Herbert get killed. Alright, that offense looks a lot better with that right tackle there to 77 overall. We will look to improve the offensive line in the offseason, but I'm just working with what I have to here. As you've already seen, JC Jackson will miss the first 5 weeks of the season, so we will get to see how Asante Samuel does as the #1 corner on this team. I am keeping it a 3-4, so we will get to see Bosa and Khalil Mack both rush the passer. Let's see how the first game of this rebuild goes. Week 1 against the Miami Dolphins. Well, it's always nice to get off to a win to start a rebuild. We beat the Dolphins 16-10 in overtime, so that was a pretty defensive heavy game. Jumping to the midway point in the season, we only win one other game between week 1 and week 8, and it's in week 7 against Kansas City 17-16. So we lost 4 games in a row. That's not really the start to the season or the rebuild that I wanted. We're the number 28 offense in the league. That is not going to work. Obviously, I'm not looking to take a quarterback in this draft, but quarterback Kurt Silvers out of Oklahoma seems to be a pretty solid prospect. A deep accuracy, A short accuracy, A throw under pressure. Obviously, I'm not going to draft this guy, but I want to see how good he is. That could be a generational quarterback. Well, at the end of the season, I just noticed I didn't cut Max Duggan. They actually just cut him in real life. I don't think it matters that much. Justin Herbert throws for 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Running the ball, Austin Eckler, 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns. And receiving, Keenan Allen with 50 catches for 728 yards and 8 touchdowns. Mike Williams, 500 yards and 2 scores. Joshua Palmer, 500 yards and 4 touchdowns. Gerald Everett caught 3. Quentin Johnston only caught 1. So even though I have the depth chart set to manual, I'm going to assume he got moved back down the depth chart and really didn't get to see that much playing time, which is going to be awesome. He's probably down to a normal depth chart now. But Kenneth Murray led the team in tackles with 131. Sacks goes to Joey Bosa with 10.5. And interceptions, several people got 2. Kenneth Murray, Michael Davis, Derwin James, Alohi Gilman, I probably just butchered your name and I'm sorry, and JC Jackson got 2. Patrick Mahomes leads the league in passing yards with 4,500. Touchdowns goes to Aaron Rodgers, who threw 39, and interceptions, Anthony Richardson threw 27. That probably isn't super unrealistic, to be completely honest. I think Richardson could develop into a really good quarterback, but I think he's going to throw a lot of interceptions. Running the ball, Josh Jacobs ran for 1,600 yards, and most touchdowns, Isaiah Pacheco got 23. Absolute insanity. Receiving, most receptions goes to Cooper Kupp with 123, yards at CeeDee Lamb with 1,600, and touchdowns goes to Kupp with 16. Now over on defense, leading the league in tackles will be Cody Barton with 145, sacks goes to Von Miller with 19, and interceptions, several people got 6. Stephon Gilmore, DJ Reed, and Trayvon Diggs, so 2 Cowboys ended up with 6 interceptions. Well, if this season ended like this, I'm pretty sure Brandon Staley would be fired. We finished 6-11. We're the 19th offense in points per game and the 19th defense in points per game. This year's Super Bowl was between the Baltimore Ravens and the Atlanta Falcons. I think that's a pretty big shock there. But the Ravens win 28-21. Lamar Jackson is Super Bowl MVP. Aaron Rodgers wins MVP, Robert Saleh is Coach of the Year, Cooper Kupp is Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year is Aaron Donald, Offensive Rookie of the Year is Bijan Robinson, and Defensive Rookie of the Year is Joey Porter Jr. Now for the actual rebuild part of this video, and I had no idea the Chargers were in this much cap hell. I have negative $51.2 million in cap. No wonder every rebuild or franchise that I do, Mike Williams hits free agency. I have no clue how I'm going to clear this out. Let's check out some of these salaries for the upcoming season because they've got to have some just massive contracts. Khalil Mack's due $38.5 million against the cap. That is absolutely insane. Joey Bosa, 36.6. Keenan Allen due 34.7. He's already regressing down to an 87 overall. Mike Williams is due 32.5. Yeah, I think they're probably going to have to cut a few people, and I think this is about to go into a hardcore rebuild. We do get a 5th-year option from Rashawn Slater, so we're going to go ahead and take that, but probably the only player that I can actually bring back here. So we'll be losing Austin Eckler, Kenneth Murray, Gerald Everett, Dalton Reisner, Michael Davis. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty big rebuild here because I'm not going to cut any of those guys that I talked about, like Keenan Allen or Mike Williams. I thought Williams' contract was up at the end of the season. That's why he was in free agency all the time. I had no idea that they just hit like cap hell and pretty much cut him, but that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to trade some of these guys. When we sort by savings, you can see the 3 players that I can save the most by getting rid of, and that would be Khalil Mack, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams. So this is going to be a really rough offseason for the Chargers. When I attempt to trade Khalil Mack, I click the get offers button. There are no trades for this package, so I'm going to have to do a manual trade. Oh, well, this is a pretty cool feature that Madden has now included apparently. If you're negative cap space at all, you can't trade anything because it says your team would go over the cap. That's awesome, so you can't even really manage the cap in this game. This is legitimately what I have to do. I have to include 3 players in this trade package. I doubt they're going to give us 2 first-round picks. It's probably not super realistic, but the Bears adding Keenan Allen and Mike Williams for their quarterback would actually be a pretty big addition here, but let's see if they give us both of those first-round picks, and they will not. How about the late first-round pick and a 3rd here? We'll see if they take this one, and that trade is going to go through, so probably not the most realistic thing I can do, but I definitely need to get those guys off the team, and now we begin the actual rebuild process, I guess. And really all that trade managed to accomplish was getting us out of cap hell. With $10 million, I can't even really participate in free agency that much. So I think most of this rebuild is going to have to be done through the draft. Right now our wide receiver 1 is Josh Palmer and 2 is Quentin Johnston. Not exactly what I had in mind going into season 2. And then obviously the offensive line is going to need a little bit of help, like a new left guard. On defense, we're going to probably need a corner or 2 because past Asante Samuel, our corners are not that good. Eric Kendricks down to an 81 overall, not good for us. Kenneth Murray obviously walks into free agency. At free safety, we really don't have anybody here. The best one is Woods at a 69 overall. So we're going to count on Bosa and Derwin James a lot the next couple seasons probably. These are the only 2 signings I am making in free agency this year. Left guard Natane Moody and defensive tackle Kevin Givens. If you've never seen any of my rebuild videos before, the way I do it is I draft in the first 3 rounds and then I let the computer take over from there, just because I'm not the best at drafting, and honestly it feels like a lot of luck there, and I would rather just do that with the computer than add a ton more time to the video. But either way, we have our own first round pick, we got the Panthers pick from the Bears, we have our own 2nd round pick, the Bears 3rd round pick, and our own 3rd round pick. The Seattle Seahawks own the number 1 pick in this draft, so let's see if they decide to go with that quarterback that's at the top of the board. So with the first pick, they end up taking quarterback Kurt Silvers out of Oklahoma. We will see how good that guy is after the draft. With our first round pick, we're actually going to end up trading it away to San Francisco. I looked through all the guys. I didn't see anyone that jumped out of me at pick number 9. So we're going to trade all the way back to 27, but we pick up a 1st and a 3rd and a 5th for the next draft. Now with the 22nd pick in this draft, we are going to select right tackle Doug Payton out of Georgia. A awareness, A impact block. The C pass block kind of scares me, but he also has B run block. And then his strength is listed as elite. So Doug Payton, welcome to the Chargers with a hidden dev trait. Well, at pick 27, I honestly can't find anyone that I'm absolutely dying to have. So let's go ahead and try to build again for the future. We're going to trade this pick to Philadelphia and pick up a 1st, a 2nd, and a 5th in the next draft. With our second round pick, we're going to take free safety Carlos Sawyer, who is 22 years old out of Alabama with B hit power. The C tackle concerns me a bit, but also B zone coverage, and then he has great speed, ran a 4.47 and a 4.43. So Carlos Sawyer, welcome to Los Angeles, and you have a hidden dev trade. We have 2 picks in the third round. With the first one, I'm going to take defensive tackle Demetrius Dixon out of South Carolina with C block shedding, A finesse move, and A tackle. He also has solid strength, but he has elite speed. Don't really know why that's important for a defensive tackle, but sure, we'll go ahead and take Dixon, and he will come in with a hidden dev trade as well. Now, a couple picks later at pick 9 here in the third round, I may be reaching with Pat Mathis here, but he has A tackle and B zone coverage. They also list him as elite speed, and then he's also going to come in with B awareness, so he could be pretty solid. We're going to go ahead and take him here in the third round, and I get another hidden dev trade player, so I am perfectly fine with the way I drafted this one. Yeah, I'm actually perfectly fine with this draft because even after I left, the computer did a pretty good job. We got a 74 overall right tackle, a 75 overall safety, a 72 overall defensive tackle, a 73 overall outside linebacker, a 71 overall tight end, a 71 overall corner, a 69 overall fullback, and a 68 overall running back. The best player in the draft was a 79 overall strong safety, and the quarterback Kurt Silvers came in as a 77 overall. As we get ready for Season 2, I'm noticing that the CPU drafted a hidden dev trait running back in Turk. Obviously, we will still go with Spiller. We also have a hidden dev trait fullback, which I didn't think could be a thing, but I guess that makes sense. We also have our right tackle that we took, and then I did sign one more receiver. I signed Sterling Shepard to be our wide receiver 3 and our slot receiver. Now on defense, we have a few rookies starting here with Dixon at defensive tackle, Mathis at right outside linebacker, and Sawyer at free safety. I really don't know what to expect out of this team. Hopefully we're a solid team, but we went 6-11 last year, and I feel like we may have gotten worse, so let's see how Season 2 goes. Well, we actually seem to be a much better team this season. We are 5-2 at the midway point. We have the number 16 offense, but the number 7 defense. Justin Herbert finishes Season 2 of this rebuild with 3,300 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. On the ground, Isaiah Spiller ran for 800 yards and 8 scores. Receiving, Sterling Shepard 929 yards and 7 touchdowns. Josh Palmer also caught 7. Quentin Johnston only came away with 3 this year. Over on defense, Eric Kendricks led the team in tackles with 129. Sacks goes to Joey Bosa with 7.5, and interceptions. Deion Henley, I think I said your name right, he came away with 6 interceptions. Mahomes ends up leading the league in passing yards with 4,500. Touchdowns goes to Mahomes as well with 36, and interceptions as Johnny Callaway, a rookie quarterback in Washington, who threw 18. Running the ball, Josh Jacobs got 1,900 yards. Most touchdowns is a 3-way tie between Nick Chubb, Bijan Robinson, and Najee Harris. And then at receiving, let's see who got the most receptions. That would be Stephon Diggs with 101. Yards goes to Chris Olave with 1,400, and touchdowns is Noah Fant in Seattle with 17. All right, he had a pretty good year. In tackles, Bobby Wagner, now in Denver, led the league in tackles with 153. Sacks, Aaron Donald got 26.5. That's just absurd. And interceptions was a tie between Byron Murphy, Kenny Moore, Kaiser White, and Deion Henley. We go from 5-2 to finishing the season 8-9, so obviously some sort of meltdown happened, and we'll move on to the offseason. The Atlanta Falcons with back-to-back Super Bowl appearances, but this time they get the win over Buffalo 24-21. The NFL MVP is Patrick Mahomes, Coach of the Year goes to Doug Peterson, Offensive Player of the Year is Josh Jacobs, Defensive Player of the Year is Aaron Donald, Offensive Rookie of the Year is the quarterback Seattle took with the number 1 pick, and Defensive Rookie of the Year is a defensive tackle in Arizona. We come into this season with $48.7 million in cap space, and we have 13 players ready to negotiate. The first player that I'm going to try to bring back is Asante Samuel Jr. He's up to an 85 overall. We'll give him a 4-year offer, and he will be returning. Zion Johnson's 5th-year option is up, and we're going to go ahead and take that. Everyone else, I believe I'm going to let hit free agency. Josh Palmer has no interest in coming back. We're going to see if we can get a better receiver. Eric Kendricks is starting to regress, and then past that, it's a bunch of guys that I think I can easily replace. I think this is probably going to be a pretty unpopular opinion, but at 30 years old, Joey Bosa next season is due $33 million against the cap. I can save $25 million if I get rid of him now, and honestly, I don't think I'd bring him back after the next season anyway, because it looks like he's starting to regress. We have 3 trade offers here for Joey Bosa. The first one is for the Los Angeles Rams. They're going to send us Austin Nixon, a receiver I was actually kind of looking at in the last draft, a 2nd round pick in the next draft, a 3rd round pick this year, and a 5th round pick in a couple years. Not really what I'm looking for there. Then we have Josh Uche. I probably just butchered your name and I apologize, with the New England Patriots. And then they would give us a 2nd round pick in a couple years, a 6th round pick, I believe, the next year, and then a 7th round pick next year. And then we have the Bears, who are willing to give us DJ Moore, a 5th round pick this year and a 7th round pick next year. We're going to go ahead and take this trade with the Chicago Bears and get DJ Moore. Here is what the offense looks like going into the next offseason. I would say we definitely need to look at running back to see if there's any better option in free agency. We need a wide receiver 3. I think DJ Moore can be a wide receiver 1 on this team. And our center is gone, so I don't know if I accidentally didn't re-sign him or if he retired. Well, it really sucks to see that the only rookie from last season that got to keep at least a star depth trait was our free safety in Sawyer. Mathis is down to a normal along with Dixon, so I would say neither one of their jobs are safe. And really none of our linebackers are, because without Joey Bosa, that looks like a very, very weak core. We do have 3 first-round picks to use this year. We ended up with the number 13 pick. The 49ers got the 18th, and Philadelphia picks at 25. We also have the Eagles' 2nd-round pick and the 49ers' 3rd-round pick. Here are the players that I am bringing in this offseason. Defensive back Chidobe Awuzie. I hope I said your name right. I probably didn't. Wide receiver Kadarius Toney. Running back Elijah Mitchell. Defensive tackle Eric Armstead. And middle linebacker Jelani Tavi. Another player that I probably just butchered your name. And then Jonathan Cooper at left outside linebacker. Now we can jump ahead to the draft, where we have the 13th overall pick, and we're going to use it on center Darren Isaac out of Boise State. So let's see what he comes in as a hidden dev trade. Now just a few picks later here at pick 18, we're going to take tight end Travis Howard out of Ohio State, and he should come in with a hidden dev trade, and he will. I'm not going to lie, the guy here at pick 25, Will Harrison, may be a bit of a risk here. He has B block shedding, C power movement, A tackle, but he also comes in with elite strength, poor speed though, which kind of concerns me. And then he has B awareness, and we don't know his play rec. It's somewhere between B to D, but I'm going to count on that elite strength in the A tackle and the B block shedding. So Will Harrison, welcome to Los Angeles, and he also has a hidden dev trade. With the 13th pick in the 2nd round, this is probably a bit of a reach here, but we're going to take outside linebacker Ted Smith with B pursuit, A tackle, B zone coverage. We don't know his block shedding, it's B to D. He does have elite speed though, which is good for a linebacker, obviously. Awareness is also a B to D, and then he also has A play rec, so that's really what I'm leaning on here. So Ted Smith, please be a hidden dev trait, and he is. Now in the 3rd round, I'm going to take middle linebacker Jaquan Brooks. I hope I said that right. I probably did not. D block shedding, but B pursuit, A zone coverage, A to C tackle. He has pretty good speed. And then let's see what his awareness is. It's a B to a D. He has C play rec. Hopefully he can develop a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and take him. And is he a hidden dev trait? No. I believe that is the first player in this video that I drafted with a normal dev trait. I'm not going to draft this guy, but Jalen Hurts, a running back out of Nevada, projected in rounds 3 to 4, just has a pretty good name for this game. My philosophy on offensive line is you can really never have enough good ones, so we're going to go ahead and take Kevin Bonner, a center out of Michigan State, here in the 3rd round with pick 13, and he will come in with a normal dev trait. I honestly expected him to be a hidden dev trait because he had a few good ratings. Now with the 18th pick here in the 3rd round, I believe this is the pick we got from San Francisco. I'm going to take outside linebacker Nathan Kirkpatrick. Now this guy is probably another risk here. B to D block shedding, but A pursuit, B zone coverage. We don't exactly know his tackle. It's somewhere between A to C. And then his awareness is also a C and his play rec is a C. So I don't expect this guy to be a starter immediately, but maybe he could be a solid backup. And Kirkpatrick will have a normal dev trait. I'm not really shocked about that one. Well, at least almost every player I took is at least a 70 overall. We got a 75 overall center, a 75 tight end, a 71 defensive end, a 73 outside linebacker, a 72 middle linebacker, a 71 center, a 67 outside linebacker, a 68 safety, a 66 quarterback, a 65 defensive end, a 68 running back, a 67 left guard, a 68 safety, and a 65 safety. So we had a lot of late picks. The best player in the draft was a defensive tackle that the Titans took with the 5th pick. He comes in as a 79 overall. Now we are ready for season 3 of this rebuild. Herbert is obviously still our quarterback at a 93 overall. We added Elijah Mitchell, traded for DJ Moore, and got a brand new center and tight end in the first round. I'm not going to lie to you guys, the defense does scare me for this season. Not having Joey Bosa here does not look very good, but like I said, I don't think I was going to re-sign him anyway. Well, midway through the year, this is obviously not going very well. We are 1-6 right now. We have the 15th offense in points per game and the 31st defense. Justin Herbert finishes season 3 of the rebuild with 3,500 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. Elijah Mitchell runs for 600 yards and 3 touchdowns. That is not exactly what we want to see from a running back we just paid. And receiving, Kadarius Toney, 900 yards, 2 touchdowns. Quentin Johnston caught 9 touchdowns this year. DJ Moore for 600 yards and 3 scores, and our rookie tight end caught 4 touchdowns. Now over on defense, who led the team in tackles? That would be Dion Henley with 97. In sacks, Eric Armstead got 4, and Will Harrison, the rookie, got 4. Interceptions, Derwin James came away with 3. Kurt Silvers, the quarterback that the Seahawks took 1st overall a couple years ago, just led the league in passing yards with 4,500. Touchdowns goes to Paul Burks, another 2nd-year quarterback. And then interceptions goes to Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud. Running the ball, Josh Jacobs got the most yards with 1,800. Touchdowns goes to Austin Eckler, who is now in Detroit and getting 21 touchdowns on 631 yards. That is a little bit of a ridiculous stat line. Receiving, Devontae Smith got the most yards. Most receptions is Jerry Jeudy, and touchdowns goes to Devontae Smith with 14. Now over on defense, let's see what happened. Jordan Brooks led the league in tackles with 146. Sacks goes to Max Crosby with 17.5. And interceptions is a 3-way tie between Sean Murphy-Bunting, Trayvon Moehrig, and Marshawn Lattimore. I probably butchered your name. We at least don't finish with only 1 win on the season, but we do finish 5-12, which I believe is the worst record so far in this rebuild. So we are not really getting much better, despite our overall getting better. The 3rd Super Bowl of this video goes to the Kansas City Chiefs, defeating Carolina 42-28. The NFL MVP goes to Jalen Hurts. Coach of the Year is Zach Taylor. Offensive Player of the Year is Jalen Hurts. Defensive Player of the Year is TJ Watt. Offensive Rookie of the Year is a quarterback in Green Bay. And the Defensive Rookie of the Year is a defensive tackle in Tennessee. Now as we start this offseason, we have $83.1 million in cap space and 17 players that are ready to negotiate. The first player we're going to offer a contract is left tackle Rashawn Slater. Obviously a player we want to bring back, an 89 overall, and he will be returning. Now we have wide receiver DJ Moore, who we just traded for. We are obviously going to try to keep him as well. A 4-year contract. We'll see if he comes back. This is exactly the offer I want, so he will be returning as well. We will also be taking Quentin Johnston's 5th-year option here. But from here, we're going to let everyone else walk, and we will go into free agency with about $48 million to spend. I think the offense honestly looks fine here. We still have Justin Herbert. Isaac is a superstar dev, along with our rookie tight end. Well, no longer a rookie, but he is a superstar depth trade as well. And I feel like we have some pretty solid receivers now. I think the main problem is going to be the defense. We obviously need a left guard in case you missed that, but the defense needs a lot of work. Well, as much as it sucks, there was not much linebacker help in free agency this year, so I was not able to get one. But we do land a new left guard in Matt Hennessy, a new defensive back in Mike Hughes, a new defensive tackle in Tyre Tart, probably butchered his name, a new kicker in Jake Elliott, and a new running back in J.K. Dobbins. So between him and Elijah Mitchell, hopefully we can have a 2-headed backfield. As we go into this draft, we end up with the 6th overall pick, and the only extra draft pick we have is the Bears in the 7th round. Well, I'm going to make a trade here during the draft. We are sending our 2nd round pick to Cincinnati for middle linebacker Jermaine Pratt. I did not see any star linebackers here in this draft, and I feel like that's definitely the weak point of our defense. Then we're going to send a handful of picks over the next 2 years to Pittsburgh for Highsmith at outside linebacker. And one final trade. We are sending the 6th overall pick and our 1st round pick in a couple years to the Packers in exchange for outside linebacker Rashawn Gary. If those trades don't fix our defense, I literally have no idea what will, but we ended up with a 65 overall tackle, a 64 overall tackle, a 70 overall outside linebacker, and a 71 overall fullback. There were 4 80 overall players in this class, and they were all gone before our pick, which is probably why whenever I was looking through, I didn't see anyone that I actually liked here. The best player was an 81 overall corner that went to Arizona. Now heading into Season 4, Justin Herbert is a 95 overall quarterback. Quentin Johnston is up to an 86 overall, so I'm really proud of that one. DJ Moore a 90 overall, Kadarius Toney an 88. I feel like we have a pretty solid offense. And I think the additions I made on defense should help us out a lot. We now have Jermaine Pratt, Rashawn Gary, Derwin James, all 3 as superstar X Factors, so hopefully our defense is a lot better this year. Well, we do seem to be a much better team than last season. The Browns are 0-7, so at least we're not them. But we are sitting at 4-2. We have the number 25 offense in the league apparently, but the number 4 defense. So our defense is at least back on track now. At the end of the season, Justin Herbert has 3,500 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. J.K. Dobbins over 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns. Receiving Quentin Johnston with over 1,000 yards and 14 touchdowns. Hopefully that moves him up to a superstar depth trait. Kadarius Toney only caught 1. Travis Howard caught 5. DJ Moore caught 4. Now over on defense. Jermaine Pratt led the team in tackles. In sacks, Rashawn Gary got 8, and interceptions, we had several players come away with 2. Patrick Mahomes leads the league in passing yards again with 4,600, barely beating out Kurt Silvers. And then most touchdowns goes to Joe Burrow with 40, and most interceptions is Trey Lance, who is now a Titan and threw 21 picks this year. Josh Jacobs with the most rushing yards, and most touchdowns goes to Isaiah Pacheco. Receiving, CeeDee Lamb got the most yards and the most receptions, but most touchdowns goes to Mark Andrews, Quentin Johnston, and Brandon Ayuk, who all caught 14. Now for defense, Logan Wilson leads the league in tackles with 147. Sacks goes to Von Miller with 20.5 in his 16th season. Good to see the simulation engine is perfect. And then interceptions goes to a rookie defensive back the Cardinals took, who came away with 6 this year. But I literally have no idea what to do with this team because this is the best team we have built so far, and they just went 8-9. Well, I'm not sure what happened here, but the Seahawks win the Super Bowl, but there are no yearly awards, so I guess the NFL is just vetoing the awards this year. We begin this offseason with $50 million in cap space and a few players here to negotiate their contracts. We are going to take the 5th-year option on right tackle Doug Payton. That's just an obvious one. We're also going to throw a 4-year offer at Derwin James and see if he wants to come back, and he will be returning. Let's see if we can bring back middle linebacker Deion Henley on a 3-year offer. He has some interest, and he will also be returning. Just because he's been on the team the entire time, let's bring back Max Duggan on a 2-year deal, and he is excited to sign. We're going to let everyone else go to free agency. I may try to get Zion Johnson back, but right now we're going to let him walk. We're going to have about $25 million to use in the final free agency of this rebuild. Before we actually jump into free agency, let's take a look at the team. Justin Herbert is down to a star depth trait, which does suck, but Quentin Johnston is up to a superstar depth trait after his fantastic season. On the defensive side of the ball, I think the main problem is going to be our second middle linebacker and then maybe defensive back depth, because we have Asante Samuel and then a 76 overall. I don't really feel confident in Thomas being our DB2. Well, this free agency, there were not a lot of big names that I could really afford, so the biggest name we brought back is J.C. Jackson. We also signed Ryan Bates at guard. DeMarvion Overshown, I really hope I said that right. He's out of Texas. I know exactly who he is. I just am not great at pronouncing names. Matt Hennessy at left guard, Keon White at right end, and then Rasheem Green at left end. Going into this draft, we still have our own first-round pick. I was careful not to trade that one. I did trade the one for the 2028 draft, but we don't have to worry about that draft because this is the final season. And with our first-round pick, we're going to take defensive back Gerald Mayo out of Texas A&M with A-man coverage, and he will come in as a normal depth trait, but he does have 93 speed. Now in the 3rd round, we're going to take Eric Nolan out of Ohio State. B block shedding, B tackle, B zone coverage, and for a middle linebacker, he has A awareness, so I am very fine with all of that, and Nolan will come in with a normal depth trait as well. Well, he was not a hidden dev trait, but we did land a 76 overall corner in the first round, a 73 overall middle linebacker, and then the computer got a 69 overall receiver and a 68 overall running back. Now let's go see what the best player in the draft was. So sort by overall, and it will be an 80 overall tight end that the Saints took with the 7th pick. This will be the starting offense for the final season of this rebuild, where we have yet to even make the playoffs so far. I honestly don't know what to expect out of this team from this season. I don't know what to expect out of Madden 24 now most of the time, because I feel like I'm building a decent team here and they're just not winning games. Maybe it's because we're in a really tough division, but I honestly don't know. Well, it looks like our backup quarterback Wade Clifton got to play a little bit because Justin Herbert may have been injured at some point this year. Herbert finished with 2,500 yards, 21 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. The other quarterback, 5 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, so hopefully that did not derail our chances at the playoffs. Running the ball, J.K. Dobbins got 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns, and then receiving, Kadarius Toney with 10 touchdowns, Quentin Johnston with 7, DJ Moore with 2, and Travis Howard with 4. Now over on defense, Jermaine Pratt led the team in tackles with 116, in sacks, Rashawn Gary got 8.5, and interceptions, Derwin James and Asante Samuel tied for 2 apiece. Mahomes leads the league in passing yards yet again with 4,600, most touchdowns, also Patrick Mahomes with 42, and interceptions, Jordan Love, who is now a New Orleans Saint, through 23. On the ground, Bijan Robinson ran for 1,900 yards and 20 touchdowns, both of those good enough to lead the league. Kenneth Walker also got to the end zone 20 times. Receiving, CeeDee Lamb with 1,600 yards, most receptions, Justin Jefferson with 128, and only 5 touchdowns, but most touchdowns goes to Jackson Smith and Jigba with 20. So between Smith and Jigba and Kenneth Walker, the Seahawks offense got 20 touchdowns just from those 2 players alone. And Kenneth Murray, who is now a Raider, led the league in tackles with 148, so he seems to be doing just fine. Micah Parsons got the most sacks with 18, and interceptions goes to Trent McDuffie, who came away with 6. But finally, in the 5th season of this rebuild, we managed to make it to the playoffs at 10-7 and get in as a wild card. Will we be one and done in the playoffs in this series, or can we manage to go on some sort of incredible run to get a Super Bowl before this rebuild is over? It was a pretty close game, but we get out of the wild card round with a win over Jacksonville 19-14. In the next round of the playoffs, however, we have to take on the 1 seed Buffalo Bills, who finished the year 16-1. Well, we're going to jump in at the start of the 4th quarter, down by 2 touchdowns. Let's see if we can manage to get any points on this drive. We're going to start with a deep throw downfield that'll be caught by Kadarius Toney down the sideline and forced out of the 24-yard line. In simulation, this game was actually going decently for us, but the second half, the Bills have just taken over and now have a 2-score lead. So now out of a 5-wide set, we'll throw this one over the middle, caught by Quentin Johnston, and he will fight his way down to the 3. I just saw Herbert's stat line at the top of the screen. He has not thrown a single incomplete pass in this game. Now from the 3-yard line, we'll hand off up the middle, and Dennard is into the end zone, or Denard, whatever you want to call it. Touchdown Chargers. However, simulating the defense did not go well. They let up another touchdown, so we're still down by 2 touchdowns when we come back out. Let's see if we can get anything downfield. That one's thrown into traffic, but that'll be caught by our tight end. Under 6 minutes to play. Herbert out of shotgun. We'll take the snap, roll out to the outside, and we're looking to go downfield. Not seeing anyone come open. We'll finally just throw to the wide open man here, caught by DJ Moore, and that's only going to be a gain of a few yards. That play took off way more time than it should have. 2nd and 7. Herbert out of shotgun. We'll drop back to pass. We'll throw this one over the middle. That one's caught by DJ Moore for the first down, brought down near the 20. Now back in shotgun again. Herbert will take the snap. Roll out to the outside. We'll throw this one on the run. That'll be caught by Richter, and he'll get forced out of bounds. Herbert now backing up 5-wide set. He'll take the snap and look to pass. We'll throw this one over the middle. That one's caught by Toney, who will break 1 tackle. Still going and into the end zone. Touchdown Chargers. We're down by 1 score. Now we just need the defense to get a stop. This time I will attempt to actually play defense. It's pretty bad on Madden 24 for me, so bear with me here. It's a handoff to the running back, and he's brought down pretty quickly. Now a 2nd and 9. He's back in shotgun. It's another handoff to the running back, and this time he'll end up with the first down. That is obviously not what we needed to happen. Now a 1st and 10, about 3.5 minutes to go. Allen back in shotgun. We'll drop back to pass. A throw to the outside will be caught for about a 9-yard gain. That would set up a 2nd and 1. Now Allen lines up under center. Judge is still in at running back here. They're letting the clock run down. He goes right up the middle for the easy first down. Just a little over 2 minutes to play in the game. It is 1st and 10 from the 50. Allen is back in shotgun again. He'll take the snap and look to pass. He throws this one to the outside. That's caught, and he'll be immediately brought down. A 5-yard gain, and we'll just go ahead and call the blitz here. Why not? Let's see if it works. 2nd and 5. We have officially hit the 2-minute warning. He takes the snap. It's a handoff, and he's hit in the backfield, and we'll burn our first time out. Can we stop them here and get the ball back to Herbert in the offense from the 47-yard line? Allen will take the snap. It's a blitz. He goes over the middle and finds his man wide open for the first down. Now, obviously, they'll let the clock run down a little bit. We still have 2 timeouts, but we're going to need a miracle to get the ball back. From the 33, he takes the snap. It's a handoff to Judge, who goes to the outside and will get brought down for a 3-yard gain. And one of our players is injured, so it forces a timeout. That brings up a 2nd and 7 now with 1:08 to play. Allen lines up under center. He takes the snap. It's a handoff to Judge, who tries to bounce it to the outside, but is brought down and will burn our final timeout. A 3rd and 6 with 1 minute and 3 seconds to play. Allen lines up under center. He'll actually drop back to pass. He goes over the middle and finds his man open for the first down. Buffalo's going to get out of here with a win. That will bring this rebuild video to an end. Obviously, we lose in the divisional round to the 16-1 Bills. I still feel like we built a really good team. I'm still trying to really figure out Madden 24's simulation strategy. It really seems to be more random than anything this year.